Hi, this is the news report of the collapse and destruction of a massive reptilian undersea base in the area of southeast Bay of Bengal. This occurred on February the 15th, 2012. It was an undersea quake, magnitude 5.1 as registered by the USGS. The story. Prior notification of the next strategic reptilian undersea base to be taken out and destroyed was provided to Alfred Weber on February 3, 2012, late in the evening, after having received a telepathic communication from the commander of the primary Andromeda Council biosphere. At this time, I provided to Alfred Weber of Exopolitics via email an advanced notice report of 2 strategic reptilian undersea bases that remained that needed to be taken out and destroyed. My report of that evening stated that the first of the 2 remaining undersea bases would be located in the Indian Ocean Bay of Bengal area, with the finding of an extensive, massive undersea base located and beginning on the top portion of a pencil-shaped, north-south oriented undersea land ridge, a very unnatural-looking undersea land ridge. The beginning of this base is marked by a white box with crosshairs in the middle. You'll be able to see this image on the first full page of my report. This base runs the full length of the pencil, north to south. When looking at this image, you'll notice that to the right, this image, which is a partial extraction of a global National Geographic map of various ocean floor ridges, rises, and formations I previously provided to Mr. Weber on the evening of February 3rd. The location of this specific extensive undersea base, the beginning of which is marked with this small white box in crosshairs, indicates the location of the base which runs the full north-south length of this undersea ridge. This land formation, this ridge, is called the 90 East Ridge. It is located just due west of northern Cocos Basin and due west of the northernmost part of the island of Sumatra. I indicated in my February 3rd report to Mr. Weber that numerous recent ongoing earthquakes that have been felt in the western Indonesian region had weakened the structure of the ocean floor, which would make the job easier for the people of Procyon to destroy this base. I also indicated in that report to Mr. Weber the destruction of that base would happen sometime before or by mid-February 2012. As I indicated in the beginning of this report, the actual date of the 5.1 magnitude undersea quake was February 15, 2012. The date of the written report is February 16, 2012. Location and description of the specific undersea quake. The quake occurred on February 15, 2012. The time was 18:31:57 p.m. UTC. The location was 6.35 north, 93.00 east, and 29.9 km kilometers, which is 18.58 miles deep in the ocean. The location on page 2 of the written report shows a map marked by an orange star, which is the actual location of the undersea quake. A complete written description, maps, and technical specifications of this quake are available online with the USGS at http://earthquake.usgs.gov earthquakes/RECENTEQUES/quakes/USB 00080 Peter F. Frank.php. You'll see this identification on the written report. As I indicated in my preliminary report of February 3, 2012, this region has been hit over time by numerous earthquakes. The image on the written report below on page 2 indicates the location and number of quakes in this region since 1990. Again, in this below image, you will also find the location of this specific quake marked by an orange star. Now I'll address the confirmation of the 5.1 undersea earthquake and the strike by the Procyon people on the undersea base. Unlike the other quakes that were caused by sonic beam weapons fired by the people of the Procyon star system, continuing this police action under the flag of the Andromeda Council to destroy all Draco and Hydra reptilian undersea bases, this kind of action was not necessary to cause the actual quake. The quake itself was a complete natural occurrence, just planet Earth continuing her evolution. I, Tolek, was notified around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this past Thursday evening, February 16, 2012, via telepathy by the commander of the primary Andromeda Council biosphere, where many of the meetings are held. He notified me of this 5.1 magnitude earthquake and the destruction of this specific Draco and Hydra reptilian-controlled undersea base. This is the base that was on the north-south oriented pencil-shaped 90 East Ridge. This is how we've always referred to it, as the pencil-shaped undersea base. This particular earthquake opened up an existing crevice, a large crack running east-west across the lower portion of what people might perceive to be as the bottom of the pencil eraser head, as you would look at it on the map. As you can see by the two Google terrametric maps provided by NASA on page 3 of my written report, the location of the 5.1 magnitude quake is indicated by a green arrow. You'll also notice and see cracks, fissures on the ocean floor which run east-west from the area of the quake to the location of the area where the beginning of this reptilian base was located. In the maps I've provided in my reports, I've consistently indicated the location of bases by a little white box with crosshairs in the middle. Yes, there have been numerous quakes that have happened in this area over time. They have continued to weaken and destabilize the overall landmass in this area, including this pencil-shaped ridge. Underneath the pencil-shaped ridge, all throughout this area, there are multiple pockets under the ocean floor. Think of this area as being like Swiss cheese with a bunch of little holes. This particular 5.1 quake caused the collapse of the substructure of the ground in this area, and directly underneath the ridge upon which this extensive base was sitting, because at least one of these cracks or fissures opened very wide, causing the Swiss cheese substructure underneath the ridge to collapse. Just as important, here is why the people of Procyon knew why this 5.1 quake would be the quake to take advantage of to destroy this specific undersea reptilian base. They looked down the timeline to check which would be the best quake to use in this specific location that would cause the greatest damage to the substructure of the Swiss cheese-like ground underneath the ridge, and B, having tracked all of the previous recent quakes and tremors in the area, they were keenly aware of the high degree of destabilization that existed, and they knew that this quake would be the one to open wide at least one of the cracks or fissures on the ocean floor, which would rip across the basin to the upper part of the pencil base in the area of where the eraser would be, causing the most crippling damage to this ridge. Now the details on the actual Procyon sonic strike of the Draco and Hydra Reptilian Undersea Base. After the quake hit, the people of Procyon used their sonic beam energy weapons to pound the whole expanse of this undersea base, repeatedly striking at and destroying, moving from north to south, all of the areas and segments of the base that had not yet collapsed. In total, there were about 100 plus buildings of various sizes that comprise this whole undersea base, city-size complex. This area is now completely collapsed and destroyed so that nothing large exists. No buildings exist. Nothing. The people of Procyon obliterated it to this degree so that no malevolent extraterrestrials can ever live and occupy this base again. If people were able to go into a submarine and view the remains of this undersea base complex today, they would only find rubble. It took about a total of 3 hours total time to destroy this whole undersea base complex. In closing, here is a summary of what made taking out this particular base a unique challenge. Prior to this 5.1 magnitude quake, about 6 hours before the quake occurred, the people of Procyon sent in a stealth kind of Delta Force type team to relocate a variety of the families of the many civilian reptilians supporting this large undersea base complex. There are known to have been, at one time, 18,000 reptilians on planet Earth. To give you a sense of the massive size of this base, understand this specific base was the largest, most extensive undersea support base of Draco and Hydra reptilian operations on Earth. This extensive pencil-shaped base complex housed approximately 5,000 families, incorporating 11,000 reptilians in total in what was essentially a small underwater city. These family members included reptilian civilian workers, fathers, mothers, of course their children, primarily support staff, engineers, logistics operators, administrators, undersea shuttle transporters to other bases in the area and around the globe, healthcare, food production, clean water, sanitation, waste removal, etc. Of these 11,000, there were also approximately 1,000 remaining few reptilian warrior soldiers protecting this base, though many had already been shipped out through stargates from the prior base destructions. Of the 11,000 reptilian beings living in this base, the people of Procyon were able to relocate and send through a stargate about 7,000 of these family members during about 2.5 hours' time, out to the far reaches of the universe, to the same planet as the other reptilians relocated in other prior undersea base cleanup and destroy operations. There were about 3,000 reptilian military family members, support staff, that stayed behind, and 1,000 warrior soldier reptilians that also stayed behind. These warrior soldiers were the extremists, determined to fight till the end or die trying. About 300 of these warrior soldiers, the do or die extremists, had come from either the shut down or destroyed other undersea and underground bases. This is the end of the report. Tolek, Andromeda Council.